July 2nd, 2003. We are at the Warhawk Air Museum in Nampa, Idaho, and I am conducting a Veterans History Project interview with Mr. Sam Pollard, Sr. In the room for the interview are Barry Hill as the filmer, myself, Sue Paul, as the interviewer, and then Mr. Sam Pollard, Sr. as the person that we are interviewing. Hello, Sam. Welcome to the Warhawk Air Museum.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Could you tell us, please, where your current address is?
It's 810 D Street, Parma, Idaho, 83660.
And could you tell us what year you were born, Sam, and where you were born?
I was born in Roswell, Idaho, close to Parma, I was born 2/20/21.
And Sam, you served in which war?
European theater.
During World War II?
During World War II, yes.
And what division of the military were you in?
I was in Company F, 7th Infantry of the 3rd Division.
Thank you. Sam, you were born in Idaho, and could you tell us where that was and what your life was like as a little guy?
Well, my name is Samuel W. Pollard, Sr., and I was born at Roswell, Idaho, February the 20th, 1921. To William and Vera Irene Swaggart Pollard. My childhood days were spent in the Roswell area, attended my school years at Roswell School. Summers were spent working on my dad's farm and playing American Legion baseball. The team was made up of boys in the Roswell and the Parma area. After school, I joined the U.S. Army September the 23rd, 1940 to July the 16th, 1945. This venture was spent with a lot of growing up and seeing a lot of the country. Took my Army training at the Fort Lewis in Washington and Fort Ord, California. After going overseas, I spent time in the Casablanca, Algeria, French Morocco, Tunisia, Africa, Sicily, Naples, Foggia, Anzio, and Italy, and southern France. At the landing of Anzio beachhead in the town of Cisterna, Littorio, Italy, I received the Distinguished Service Cross and the Bronze Star. This award was given for capturing 134 German soldiers by myself, and all this coming home safe and sound while at Fort Ord, my life to be, which later turned out to be a 53-year reunion marriage. To this union, 3 children were born, Sam Jr., June, and Karen Pollard. After being discharged from the Army, I came back to Parma, Idaho, for which I still reside after returning to civilian life. Worked for the Parma Water Lifter Company for 12 years, then on to spend 30 years in the Parma Post Office and retirement in 1980. Community service of 25 years in the Parma Fire Department and 15 years as a EMT on the Parma ambulance. 9 years Scoutmaster, and later years were spent camping, fishing with the kids and the wife, traveling with our trailer.
Boy, Sam, that is quite a history. What a life.
Yes.
From beginning to end. When you were a little boy in Idaho in the 1920s, did you have brothers and sisters?
Oh, yeah.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
For our family, there's 9 children.
And where were you in those 9?
I'm the top.
The oldest one?
I'm the oldest one.
My gosh.
I have 4 brothers and 5 boys and 4 girls.
And you all grew up on the farm then? Your dad had a farm?
Yeah.
And
on an 80-acre farm.
80-acre. What'd you grow?
Well, alfalfa and wheat and potatoes and all the farm stuff, you know.
Did all the kids work on the farm?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you went to high school then all through high school? And
well, when I didn't finish high school, I knew I was going to be drafted. So I liked 1 year of graduating out of high school.
When you went into the Army then in 1940, did you have a clue that a war was going to start 1 year later?
Not really.
Yeah.
I knew something must be up because, you know, when they started drafting and building the Army, well, there's always...
How'd you find out the draft had started?
Well, I got a notice.
Oh.
Got a notice.
And how old were you then?
Well, I was 18 and a half, about. almost 19.
So you made a decision to join yourself then, so you could go.
Because I know I was going to have to go within maybe a month or so anyway.
Did you have your other siblings go in the service also then?
Yeah, I had a brother, and one was in the Air Force and one was in the Army.
Why did you decide to go in the division you went into?
Well, that's where Uncle Sam put me.
Oh, okay.
When I went to Fort Lewis to take our training, well, you know, induction, well, I had two choices of Philippines or the European theater. Well, I guess they more or less set you where you go. So I was lucky I went to where I went.
What did your parents think about you leaving the farm? I mean, that was okay with them, huh?
I was okay, yeah.
Yeah. Did they have a sense that there was a war coming? Did anybody in America have
I had
sense?
imagined they did.
So where were you when Pearl Harbor was bombed and the war started?
I was in Fort Lewis, Washington, and the day Pearl Harbor was bombed, well, they sent us out on the shores of Portland, Fort Lewis in Washington. We moved our division out on the shore because they were afraid the Japanese were going to land on the shore.
Wow.
And the first bombs that was ever dropped on the United States was from a Japanese submarine, which landed in. What they did, they shot it out in a parachute, and that's how they dropped it.
When did you find out you were going to Europe?
After, let's see, about 2 years training at Fort Lewis.
Were you anxious?
I didn't know where we really were going. We were shipped left Fort Ord, went across the United States to Norfolk, Virginia, to Camp Pickett, and we traveled there, got in there about 12 o'clock at night, got off the train. They put us on a 12-mile hike right back. Next morning we got up, slept about 3 hours and went on another big hike. And about 3 days later we loaded on ships in Norfolk, Virginia, 600 ships in our voyage. And we never knew where we were going till we were at least, I don't know, probably 100 miles out into the ocean.
Had you had any rifle experience before you went into the Army on the farm?
Oh, yeah.
So you were probably a pretty good shot anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because we as kids, we hunted all the time, fished and hunt, you know.
Knew about surviving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you went overseas and you didn't know, put on board these, wow, all those ships.
Yeah, there were 600. Of course, there's all troop ships. You got to remember, a division is a lot of people. Of course, they had that was the destroyers and battleships and everything together.
Did you have a sense of safety, a feeling of safety traveling across the ocean with that many ships with you, or were you always alert and knowing that
the battleships and the destroyers are all around you? The thing was, they were one of our ships was bombed, not bombed, but torpedoed with a. But what they do, they zigzag. They don't follow a straight course. But we never knew where we were going until about 2 days or 3 out at sea. And we went into an interrogation room in the ship and showed us right on Casablanca where we were going to land, and what shore, and just what spot and what everything.
Did they take you right into battle, or did you landed?
We landed right on at 6 o'clock that morning. We were going down the climbing down the ropes on the side of the ships into the landing craft, and the shore we landed on was all coral. And this little sailor, he hit the beach a little too hard and had his boat wrecked. So he was with us for about 3 days. And he'd never been in an army outfit where, he said, I'm going to swear it, and I better not swear.
It's okay.
He said, how did he say that? He said, I want to get the hell out of this place, he said.
What year was this? What date was this?
Let's see, we landed in about 1943, I think, sometime in there
Okay.
when they landed. It tells them.
Yeah, go ahead and look it up. It's good. Let's see what it says.
I don't know right exactly where.
Did you have any sense of, had you been taught on board ship or in the training to have to be ready to how you felt about the Germans?
We knew. We was all battle.
You were battle ready and mentally ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go, everything.
Yeah, and you were 18?
19.
19. Okay.
Because we knew when we got off the ship what we was going to run into.
Wow. So tell me.
The thing is, when you go in on those landing craft boats, you don't know what's out there till you hit the shore. When they let the front end down on that thing, then it's.
You start running.
You start running there.
And digging in.
Now you have to kind of form your squads and get organized, you know, and get your people together.
Were you shot at when you landed? Were you attacked?
Well, yeah. But that was our first fire. It looked like a 4th of July fireworks.
So tell me what you did. What was it like that day?
Well, it was handle a little of it, and it just capturing the Germans and the Italian troops and a lot of French troops. They give up easy. They didn't like us Americans. Then went from there on up to Oran, then to into Tunis, and from there to Sicily, and to southern in Italy and Naples, and up through that way, then back into southern France, then I came home.
This is you right here.
Yeah, that's I was in Fort Ord.
Why don't you hold that? And this is where you trained at Fort Ord?
Yeah, that's.
And what is this letter that's here?
That is the email. Remember the
V-mail that you sent
It's all censored. That's the way they sent. When you wrote a letter, that's what they'd censor your mail before you ever send it home to you.
And you sent this home to your family?
Yeah.
They must have been awfully glad to get that.
Oh, yeah.
How long would they go without knowing where you were?
Oh, probably, it's hard to say, quite a while.
Mm.
They knew what area I was in, but we never give. The thing was, you guys would write home and say, well, you're in Naples. Well, that's good information for the enemy.
So they'd cut that out?
They take that off.
Mm.
All you say is hello, goodbye, and hope everything's all right, you know.
Did you get mail from home very frequently? I mean, you were right in the middle of fighting for...
I got a couple letters from home. But
You have here some pictures that we'd like to talk about, if we may. This is a beautiful picture of all of the medals, upside down, that you received. And I mean, this is such an honor to have you here, Sam.
This is my division insignia here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is our regimental insignias. This is my rank here. This is
Which was, could you tell us what those are?
Oh, sergeant. I was a sergeant. And this is the number of years in service.
Oh.
And this here's my combat infantry badge. And this is my European theater badge with 6 battle stars on it. And then this is my Distinguished Service Cross, which I got for capturing 134 German prisoners.
And that's what this picture is about.
Yeah.
Let's finish this, and then if we could talk about that.
And this here's my Germany Medal of Occupation. I think this is my good conduct. I was a good conduct boy. I'm not going to tell all the story. And I was a sharpshooter medal. I got that one morning about 6 o'clock. They come by and took one of us out of each company. 3 of us guys took us out on the firing range, give us 5 shells. And we shot in the 500-yard range. And so I put 3 out of 5 in the big circle. And so that's how I got my sharpshooter. But I haven't been able to hit anything since. So that's.
And this is a Bronze Star.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is for under fire, under stress and fire.
Which you certainly were.
Yeah.
From the minute you hit the beach.
Yeah.
Let's look at this then. If we this is a picture of right here. Why you had this? So if you could hold that, I just would like to show this also, and then I'll take this down. But this is the actual letter that came with the medal, and this is just.
You might read what it says on there if you'd like to.
Why don't I let you read it? Let me have this one. Go ahead. Please do.
This is a medal of the Distinguished Service Cross. To all who shall see these President's greetings, this is to certify that this President of the United States, authorized by Act of Congress, 1918, has awarded the Distinguished Service Cross to Samuel W. Pollard for extended heroism in connection with military operations against an armed enemy. In Sistoria, Italy, May the 25th, 1944. Given under this my hand in the city of Washington, 8th day of March. And it gives names that I can't read.
That is so incredible. Now this picture shows why you received that. Can you tell us the story about what happened?
This is the town of Cisterna when they made the push for Rome. This is the town and was bombed. And the place I took my, got my Distinguished Service Cross was this little town right here.
Tell us how you got to that town and how you...
Well, we were over in here, and there's a machine gun firing across here. And the rest of our company was pretty well pinned down, and I was the only one left on this side as a non-commissioned officer to get us men and go knock out this machine gun nest. So I went across here and up this street and up into a house right in here where 2 Germans were extracted. And then from now took out more down through here and got over to here, to this little building right here, and to a hole in the ground and captured the rest of them.
What did you think when you walked in there and saw 135 soldiers?
Well, it was kind of scary. I was hid kind of. They didn't see me much because in case one come out of shooting, I was the only guy there.
So you walked in with your rifle, you got into the building, and they were all in the building?
Yeah.
And you.
Well, I picked up a certain amount here, some here, and then the rest of them are.
You captured them and made them you by yourself?
Yep.
And they minded you?
Yep. Matter of fact, I had enough grenades. I had them scared anyway. They was willing to give up.
Was your adrenaline just flowing out of control?
I tell you, sis, when you get, excuse me.
No, that's fine.
When, yeah, well, I guess you don't have any feelings anymore. You just, it's like hunting ducks. You go after them.
Where did you take the 135 men?
Marched them back to or where the company was, and they took them as prisoners and de-armed them.
What did the looks on the men's faces in your camp look like when you came in with 135 men alone?
So their eyeballs were out, and Pollard, what happened? I said, I don't know what happened.
Wow.
But I captured one high-ranking officer, and he had 4 lieutenants, and the rest of them are just regular soldiers. But there was a lot of information that they had that helped, I think, probably pave the way to Rome. It told where their divisions and some of their armies, part of them, were at.
So you captured a pretty important group of people.
And for information, yeah.
My gosh. Did they let you go take a nap after that?
No.
They sent you right back out again?
Oh, well, right there, yeah.
Right there.
Just join your squad, your company.
Yeah. Yeah. When did you find out that you were going to receive the Distinguished Service Cross for
When
this?
I got back to Dugway Proving Grounds in Utah.
How much longer? That was like 6 months later, or
About 2 months.
And what year did this happen?
I think 1944.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it was. See, we
This
landed.
is a wonderful book, by the way.
We
What is
landed
this
in
book?
May of 1944. And let's see. Oh, let's see, the landing was the 22nd and 23rd of January, and the beachhead ended in 1st of February. That'd be 45 then, I guess, would be.
Mm-hmm. What is this book? That's a wonderful book.
This tells the whole story of the Anzio beachhead. Probably one of the biggest battles fought in World War II.
Looks like you've looked through this quite extensively.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great book.
Yeah, there's a lot of reading, nice reading here.
A lot of facts about what happened to you.
Oh, yeah. See, here's a lot of pictures.
The landing that you went through.
Yeah. And there's one of our Mr. Lucas, General Lucas.
This is a good one.
This is landing on the beach of Anzio.
Okay. And what is this?
That's the cisterna. That's this side of cisterna. This is the lay of the ground, and this is the town we took over here before we made the push to Rome.
This is where you captured the 135 soldiers.
That was a big battle right there. We had to capture. In this here was all just 15-mile front and 7 miles in, and the Germans were all around us. We were just in this pocket. That was supposed to, reasonably landed behind the German lines was to cut them off, which they had them cut off, and that killed the backbone of the German army almost.
Sam, with your permission, I would like to read the citation that you received with your Distinguished Service Cross medal. This is the award of the Distinguished Service Cross by direction of the President under the provisions of Army Regulations 600-45, 22 September 1943, as amended. The Distinguished Service Cross is awarded by the Army Commander to the following named individual: Samuel W. Pollard, 19014-817, Sergeant, Infantry Company F, Infantry Regiment. For extraordinary heroism in action on 25 May 1944 in Cisterna di La Torre, Italy, Sergeant Pollard, an acting mortar section leader, on his own initiative, organized a 9-man patrol to clean out sniper nests in Cisterna di La Torre. Instructing his men to cover him, he assaulted the first house with a Thompson submachine gun and took 4 prisoners. Sergeant Pollard then proceeded to search every house on the street, braving intense point-blank machine gun, machine pistol, and rifle fire each time he exposed himself. Aware that an enemy force was delivering heavy fire from the last house on the street, Sergeant Pollard nevertheless charged toward it across approximately 20 yards of open space, shooting his gun as he ran. With streams of bullets barely missing him, he entered through a large hole in the house and wounded 3 enemy soldiers downstairs. Putting a new magazine in his weapon, he fired through an open doorway, mounted a flight of stairs, and captured 20 more of the enemy. After turning these prisoners over to guards, Sergeant Pollard led 4 men on another check of the street. As he came to the last house again, he observed 3 enemy soldiers descend a ditch and disappear into a large tunnel dug into the far bank. Going forward to the mouth of the tunnel alone, Sergeant Pollard fired into it and called on its occupants to surrender. 107 enemy soldiers filed out and surrendered, bringing Sergeant Pollard's grand total of prisoners to 134. Entered military service from Parma, Idaho, by command of Lieutenant General Patch. Signed by Arthur A. White, Brigadier General, GSC Chief of Staff.
Now this book here is a whole book of the 3rd Division. And after leaving the United States, after we found out where we were going, after interrogation on the ships, we found out we'd be landing at Casablanca, at the shores of Casablanca in North Africa. From there we went across North Africa to Iran and Algiers.
Here.
Yeah, and into Tunisia, where the great General Rommel was fighting there against the British. After capturing there, we went from there to southern part of Italy, at Licata, Italy, up into Palermo, and where we captured a lot of the German Air Force. And after capturing that, we came back to Palermo and went up to Salerno in Italy. Landed in Salerno and went up to Mount Cassino and partway up into Italy, and then we returned back to Naples, where we regrouped and made our landing at Anzio. And after capturing Anzio and taking that and then on into Rome, capturing Rome, we came back to where we regrouped at Naples and went into the southern France at Saint-Tropez and Nice. Then I was relieved at Grenoble, France, and came back to Naples and was sent back home to the United States.
Sam, how long were you in, did this take?
Probably about 2 years.
And you were in battles almost the entire 2 years?
Every time, yeah.
Yeah.
All the time break I ever got, we sent us back off of Anzio for 1 week to recuperate a little. And
what was that like for a farm boy from, a small farming community in Idaho to be all over Europe? I mean, how did you feel about being there?
We all had a job, and you had a duty to do, and you had to take her as she come.
Did you have a chance to interact at all with any of the European people in the towns you were in?
Oh, yeah.
Was that a good experience?
Oh, yeah. We'd be marching down, especially in Italy, we'd be marching down alongside the road, and the ladies would have a big roll of that bread. They'd cut you off a slice, but then the worst part about it, they'd have dang cheese, and this goat cheese. It was the worst tasting stuff, Then they had a lot of bad cognac to drink. Then we was going through the areas, there's a lot of big wine cellars. Of course, the GIs would dump their water out and fill their canteens with wine. And the thing about it, the canteens were aluminum, and wine would eat the aluminum up, and these goddamn guys was drinking the aluminum and the wine. They'd break out with sores, and that got stopped pretty soon, I went into one room, checking out and see if there's anybody in there. I went up and I ran into a big closet, and had 4 shelves on it, and it was full of old black hats. I don't know what kind. Just 4, I bet there was 15 or 20 hats, but just black hats. Now, what kind of a hat would that be?
Maybe for funerals?
I don't know. Had an old dresser drawer in there. I was going to grab one, take it, but I don't know what I'd done with it. So.
Donated it to the Warhawk Air Museum.
Yeah, well, I got my German flag out there.
Yeah, yeah, you do.
My German flag.
Were most of the cities that you went through bombed out pretty heavily?
Oh yeah, shells, you know. And then, if it isn't tore up, if it isn't tore up when you get there, it is when you leave. Because you know that. Yeah.
How'd you feel when they told you it was time to come home?
Oh my golly.
Were you ready?
I tell you, the best feeling I had of the whole thing is when we came home and we come into New York Harbor.
How many of you how many of you coming home together?
Oh, we had 500 prisoners, war prisoners, and the crew of the ship, and I don't know, there's 25 or 30 of us guys. But when you come by the Statue of Liberty and seen that American soil and that Statue of Liberty, that's the best feeling I ever had in my life. Yeah.
So you were on a prisoner ship then, bringing
them home.
What did they do with the 500 prisoners?
Well, you know where Wilder, Idaho is? Well, they had a prison camp there then. And that's where they had sent the prisoners. Then they'd take them out. The farmers would take them out, and they worked on the farms. And they didn't want to go back.
That's really true then.
Oh,
I heard that.
You bet. Yeah, they had one there. I think Greenleaf, they had one, and they had one just out of Wilder on the road coming into Greenleaf. It'd be on the right-hand side. You know where? Have you ever seen that old machinery? As you're coming from, well, that's where it used to be, right there, where all that old farm machinery is now. So.
How long were you in New York then? Where did you go from there?
Well, when I got to New York, they took me off the ship and they sent me into an interrogation room to where they interviewed me for different things they could change to make things better, and ask you a lot of questions and this and that.
Like what?
Well, was the food good? Was the clothing equipment and your stuff you had adequate? And all that kind of stuff. It was, you know. Of course, we had the stuff now like what they got now. We could have won the war in 2 months, but.
So you went through some really heavy winters there, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Well, especially on Anzio. I was telling him we had what we called a Hotel Hilton. It was a hole about that long and about that wide and about that deep, about an inch or two of water in the bottom of it. That was home, you know. And that was 4 months of that.
So you just mentally just said, I'm doing this.
Oh, yeah.
This is the way it was.
Well, you get crazy and you don't know. Anyway, but I don't know, you get to where you, unlike anything else, I guess.
Where were you when the war ended in Europe?
I was in Fort Douglas, Utah.
What was that like when you heard it was over?
Oh, God, everybody was, you know, went wild. It was a good feeling, you know, to know it was over with.
You knew it was coming?
Yeah. But it's a good thing that they bombed Japan when they did. It saved a lot of lives.
Was there a chance?
Because I don't think we could have ever taken Japan without a lot of loss, because their airfields were all underground. They weren't out in the open like our airfield. They're all back, and their pillboxes were all camouflaged, and it's just like walking. You drive up into your place, you know, you don't see nothing. But this is the way Japan was armed.
Was there ever a chance that after the war in Europe ended that you were going to be sent to Japan, since that war was still ongoing? No. You were done.
The only thing you asked, did you want to join up for, to stay in, but I didn't, but I was glad I didn't, because I'd have gone to Vietnam if I hadn't. I had a friend that was in my squad. He stayed in, so he called him in the Vietnam War, Korean War. So.
But it was time for you to get out of the military then.
Yeah.
And so what did you do when you were discharged?
Well,
and if I could backtrack just a second, tell us about when you found out you were getting your medal, your distinguished.
well, I knew it was a nice medal.
Did they have a presentation for you?
No, not really.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't ask for any flavors.
Oh.
You know.
Yeah, well, you didn't do it for a cross.
No.
You did it because you were a soldier.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But,
So you were discharged, and what'd you do then?
well, I came home, and of course, you know, you have to eat. So I stayed at Mom and I came home, and we were at camp out of Utah, Dugway Proving Grounds. Was there for about a month or 2 months. And what we did out there was, I think, being a mortar section guy, well, they had a mound out there filled with goats and chickens and whatever. And we'd fire in these mortar rounds, and they never told us what type of shell they were. I think they were gas shells, or atomic shells, I don't know which. But a mortar shell is just 80 millimeters, only about that big. And being a mortar man, well, you know, I could fire in them. And that's what I did while I was there. It all experiment, you know, they were experimenting with something, but then you never knew. All you did just fired it. So, and then we got married, and they sent us to Santa Barbara for a month.
And that's where you met your wife?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I met her when I was at Fort Ord before I went overseas.
Oh, so you wrote letters back and forth during the service?
Yeah, so I got home. She still thought I was all right, I guess. But anyway.
What was it like coming back to peacetime America after so much war that you'd seen? You were okay with that? I mean, you were glad to be home and just moving forward with your life?
You bet.
Yeah.
It wasn't too hard to change over, because, you know, you don't forget what you learned or have been through.
So after you were married, where'd you two go?
Well, we stayed in Parma, and I got a job, like I said, working at the water lifter. And I'd done this and done that, you know. Finally, I took the exam for the post office and passed that and started working there. So and worked 36 years in the post office. And
you must know everybody in Parma.
I did, but you know, the funny part about it now, I don't know a soul. I don't know a soul in that town.
Why?
It's changed that much. So,
and how many children did you all have?
3.
3.
2 girls and a boy.
And any grandchildren?
Yeah, I got 8 now. 8 grandchildren. And Mom and I have been married 58 years.
And you also are a volunteer with the fire department? You were?
I were, yeah.
For a number of years?
Just volunteer, yeah. But I'm not anymore. It's a young man's job, not an old man. See, I'm 82 years old now.
Well, you're a great American. We all thank you so much for everything you did for this country, Sam. You know, you were a young kid and just went out there and did what a soldier was supposed to do. I know, never ever knowing that you were going to become a part of history, but you are a part of our country's history. And we're very, very grateful that you came here and let us record your history.
Well, I believe my country. You know.
I know you do. You're a great American. Thank you so much.